Hello everyone, Living in Pixels here, and welcome to my Hero Deck profile for January 2023. So to start off, I run 3 copies of Elemental Hero Stratos. In my opinion, Stratos is the best normal summon in the deck, and he does also have that second effect to pop spells and traps if you haven't used your normal summon already. So you can actually get around cards like Skill Drain in combination with Mask Change. It's pretty handy, so I maximize my copies of Stratos. Next, I play 2 copies of Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. It's fairly standard. It does have the search effect for Mask Change, and it also has a graveyard effect where it can add a hero from deck to hand. Next, I run 1 copy of Liquid Soldier. Liquid Soldier can have the draw 2, discard 1 effect, or it can actually special summon a hero from the graveyard, but more often than not, you're just going to be using it for the draw 2 effect. Then next I run 1 Elemental Hero Honest Neos. So this card comes up in a lot more situations than you'd expect. You can actually send this card off of Fusion Destiny if you've exhausted your other resources, and all around I just find it's a very useful card. You can catch your opponent off guard if you have it in your hand, and it can help you win games, so I recommend playing Honest Neos. Now for the Vision Heroes, I run 3 copies of Ferris. It's a good combo extender or starter, and you always kind of want to see it in your opening hand if you can. Next, I run 2 copies of Increase. You could cut it down to 1, but I find if you just open up with the 1, it really kind of kills the combo. And also with the tier elements running around, if this gets milled off of the top of your deck, well, that kind of sucks. So the second one can help stop that a little bit. Chances of both getting milled are a lot less, so I find 2 copies is good. I also run 2 copies of Vion. Vion's also a good normal summon option, but I find like you'd be cutting your combo in half. Not to mention, because it's got a secondary effect, if you don't get both of them off without getting disrupted, you kind of have to get the other Vion out on the field to get it activated, and that kind of sucks. So I don't think it's quite as good as Stratos for normal summon. Now for the Destiny Heroes, we play the 2 Malicious and the 1 Denier. That's standard. Denier is basically just a better third Malicious. We also play 1 copy of Destiny Hero Plasma. So when we're going first with this deck, we always want to try to end with Plasma on the board. The way that I've designed this deck. It's basically a skill drain on likes, and it can also gobble up your opponent's monsters, so that's really handy. And overall, it's just a very oppressive card, so it's good to get out on the board. I also run 1 Adjusted Gold. Malicious Bane wins games. A lot of times people will have a tough time outing it, or they'll have a tough time outing Malicious Bane as well as something else you've put out on the board. I don't think cutting it just does too well to cut, in my opinion. And then run 2 copies of Ash for some hand trap disruption. It's pretty standard. And for the spells, starting off with 3 copies of Fusion Destiny. So we only have 1 target in the extra deck for this, but it is a 1 card combo. So if you get this and you don't have anything else in your hand, you can actually make a pretty impressive board just with Fusion Destiny. So we kind of want to see this as often as we can. Next, we have 3 copies of A Hero Lives. And same deal with A Hero Lives. The applications for it, you can either go for Stratos or Shadow Mist if you want to search a Mask Change. Stratos if you want to keep your normal summon. Maybe your opponent has some back row you want to get rid of, and you can use the first Stratos off of Hero Lives, and then you can normal summon out your second one because Stratos actually isn't a once per turn. All around, we just want to see this as many copies as we can. Next, we play 3 copies of Mask Change. So typically, the way that I play heroes, I don't search this card, but I find it as a bonus if I do get it in my hand. We draw with the Liquid Soldier mid-combo, and there's a good chance that if we didn't already open with this card, that we're going to draw into it, because by the time we do the draw off of Liquid Soldier, I usually have like between 20 to 22 cards left in the deck. So this often, more often than not, you'll end up with a Mask Change, and you can either use it on a Dark Monster to go into Dark Law, or you can have Absolute Zero set up and do a complete board blow up of your opponent. So I don't capitalize on searching it out, so that 3 copies is a must. You can get away without having it in the combo though. Next, for the searchers, I run 1 Rhoda and 1 E Emergency Call. These are good hand trap bait if you've got a good hand and this accompanies it. Then I play some one-of spells. We've got Polymerization, Miracle Fusion, Dark Calling, and we have a 4th one here, Super Polymerization. So in general, I do like to go second with this deck, but I only run the 1 copy just in case we're going first too. So depending on the situation, these 3 are self-explanatory, but this one here, it could be switched out for something else. But with what we play in the extra deck, I find the Super Poly is really handy, especially since it can't be responded to. So it's good going second more often than not, but if you are going first, sometimes just setting this when your opponent plays a monster, you can surprise them and get rid of their monster. Next, we have 1 Called by the Grave and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. These are pretty self-explanatory, just all around good spells to have. Next, I run 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet. So this actually has a lot of good synergy with this deck. Cards like Malicious and Shadow Mist have effects when they go to the graveyard, or if they're in the graveyard, they can activate their effects. It just works really well with this card and in general. So I think playing 2 copies of this, and again, if you're going second, this card can really help out in combination with Super Poly. So just a good card to play. And finally, we have 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence, just to add to the hand trap lineup, and it's a really good hand trap. So it is a 42 card deck. I probably would play 3 imperms and 3 droplets otherwise, but it's pretty solid. So now onto the extra deck. Starting with the links, we have 1 copy of Dread Decimator and 1 copy of Wonder Driver. So the Dread Decimator can just give you that extra little oomph if you need to finish off your opponent, and the Wonder Driver can actually help you bring out your DPE. If you haven't drawn your Fusion Destiny, you can actually bring it out with just using Polymerization, or you can even recycle your Mask Changes with Wonder Driver. So just a good card to have in the extra deck. Next, we play the 2 Extra Hero Cross Crusaders. It's more for long-term play. You'll burn through 1 for your original combo, and then the second one is kind of for another turn if it goes to that. All around, it's pretty standard to play it too. Next, the only evil hero, we have Malicious Bane. Again, Malicious Bane can win games, so it's either difficult for the opponent to out it, or they have a tough time dealing with it with whatever else you've put out there. It's just all around a good card. Next, we play the 1 Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. This needs no explanation. I only play 1 copy of Dark Law. Again, I don't really like search the Mask Changes off, but it is an option to go into, and it's a really good option. It's the best of the Mask Change options, but the extra deck is a little bit tight, and if we don't end up with the Mask Change, I only run the 1 Dark Law just in case. So next, we have 1 Masked Hero Acid. So this can, in working with the Absolute Zero, this can actually completely board wipe your opponent during their turn too. So it's very useful. I think in some aspects it could even be better than Dark Law depending on the deck you're facing. So I think it's a good play to have that. And the next, we play Masked Hero Blast. This is just strictly for Stratos to be able to dodge things like Infinite Impermanence, or to pop Skill Drain. Once Stratos leaves the field, his effect can't be negated by Imperm or Skill Drain, so it's a must, even though Masked Hero Blast itself might not be as good. it comes in handy. We play one Vision Hero Trinity for OTKs. One Elemental Hero Sunrise. So this searches Miracle Fusion, and it does have a secondary effect too that sometimes comes up where it can destroy one card on the field, and just very useful overall. And then I have some of the generic Super Poly targets. We've got Great Tornado, Escarado, The Shining, and Absolute Zero. So by far out of these four, I would say Absolute Zero is a must. If I had to cut one of these, I would cut The Shining. You could throw in like Garuda in here if you wanted instead. But I think the light attribute is kind of neat just in case you're facing someone that has a light attribute and you can super poly away their monsters. It also does have a bit of a recycling mechanic to it too, so you could recycle some of your resources off of the Shining. But overall, these four targets cover most of the attributes. And yeah, definitely Absolute Zero out of the four though. So that's it for the extra deck. Thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment down below if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. Thanks.